on the desktop is an Excel presentation to print. Once you open it and you run it, you'll see on the second slide, there's a link to a pretest. Please open the link and then just do the pretest. I'll give you about 20 odd minutes, maybe half an hour. Okay, just a few things. How do you teach the greater than, smaller than in class? Because the kids struggle, ne? They don't get it. So some people do this, some people do this. No, this is, and I'm the other way around. I think this is, which one's this? Yeah, let me just turn around. This is greater than, so this is smaller than, and this is greater than if you stand in front of the class. Okay?
I use the letter K.
Okay.
K, and then I say K is smaller,
Yeah.
they never forget it.
Because for Afrikaans it's easy, ne? K for kleiner, smaller, that works.
And I teach for the English kids
As well.
Yeah. And they really all know.
And then I take the greater than, and I put a G the other way around, like that.
Okay.
Greater.
Okay, we'll see now.
Yeah.
Okay, just one more thing. The other thing that they struggle with is that when is it included, when is the number included and when not? Okay? I like, look at the less than, smaller than, and the arrow goes that way. Alright, that's one more method that someone showed me. Also note that I did not include the 4. If there's a 4 included, there's a dot. So just use this to teach the kids that less than, here's the other one, greater than or more than. If you look at the way it goes and where it goes the same direction. Maybe they'll remember. Okay. Remember 3 not included, then not equal to, this is what not equal to 1 looks like. Everything smaller, everything greater. Okay. Then, and equal to is the problem. So what I did is I made a dot to say that the 7 is included now. Alright, because the kids struggle with that. They miss. They get the greater than, smaller than, but then they don't know when is it equal to, when is it inclusive, when is what. Okay? Right, then this one is more than or equal to, and then equal to 1 means just 1. So use this to show your kids. Right. Let's start with a Vlookup. What's the difference between a Vlookup and a Hlookup? Let's start hard.
Vertical and horizontal.
What is vertical and what is horizontal?
Vertical or horizontal?
Yeah, no, but what is vertical?
Columns index.
Okay, can I confuse you for a second there? Is it the lookup value that's vertical or horizontal? Is it the table array that's vertical or horizontal? Or is it the return value that's vertical or horizontal? Careful. Okay, we'll look at it down there. Alright. As soon as I've got a table array open, I'll show you. Okay, let's look at the lookup. Do you know the syntax of the Vlookup, ne? Can I introduce some words that I'd like you to introduce in class? This inside between the bracket and the comma is a parameter. Okay, so how many parameters does a Vlookup consist of? 4. Okay, so please use those words. It's okay if you say parameter, but it's also okay if you say it's an argument. Okay, but please use those words because I don't know what you call those things between the commas. Do you call them those things between the commas? I'm sure that some of you do. Alright, let's look at the lookup value. What is the lookup value?
The table where the information has to be looked up from.
Okay, so in other words, we've got a table, ne? Right? So this is my table. I want to, let's say it's a G. And I want the G to look up the province and then bring Gauteng, for example. Alright? Now I've got the G here. Then I put the Vlookup function here. The lookup value is what?
G.
This G. Okay, question 2. Can this G, or should this G, be on the left or can it be on the right? It can be anywhere. Alright? Now that G, does it have to be a cell reference, which for example could be B2, or can a constant, or can it be a variable, a varying value? What do I mean when I say varying value? I don't want to call it a variable because else you're going to say we're moving towards IT, but it is a variable. It's a computer word. It's a variable. Alright? What do I mean when I say it's a variable?
When it's like a number between 0 and 1, or 0 and 10.
Okay, so it's not a constant, and if it's a cell reference, it means that that cell reference can change. So it would be kind of dumb to look up a G and type the G there. You can, I'm not saying it's wrong, you can do that, but if that G changes here, then obviously your VLOOKUP won't work anymore. What else can that lookup value be? Instead of a cell reference or a constant? Can it be a function? Let's say we want a G. Instead of a G, or let's say I want the number 2. Instead of a number 2, right? Let's say the cell reference refers to a number 2. Instead of a number 2, I can have a sum function, which is a stupid example, but a sum function that adds up to 2. Can that be? For example, I want to look up the maximum of something. Alright? So what do I do instead of referring to a cell? If I don't know what the maximum is, I actually look up the maximum and then return the value that I want to return. Okay?
Can I use a building block?
Yes, you may use building blocks. Yeah, so it helps when it's a building block. We're going to do a example now, an exercise. You may use building blocks, can I say that? Just please tell your kids when they use building blocks, they must put the building blocks where we can see them, number 1. Number 2, the final building block must be in the cell where the answer must be. Because what the kids do is they put it who knows where. And then the cell where the answer should be is empty. Then, you can't get marks for that because it said put it in, for example, G2. Now in G2 there's nothing, but there's lots of things going on around here. Okay, so the last final building block must be in the cell where the answer must be. Alright, rule number 2. Okay, so we agree that this lookup value can be a variable. And what is a variable? It could be a cell reference that changes, or it could be any function. What functions can I replace that lookup value with? I just gave you an example now, maths.
Len or
Len,
any text functions.
like the left, mid, right ones. Okay. What else?
Can be a formula to calculate, for instance, a mark that you can get a symbol.
Okay, so it can be a formula that you calculate a mark out of 50, for example, and then look up the symbol, for example. What else? Really nasty, but what else?
Rand between.
Could be rand between. Those are the ones you've seen before, ne? Something you haven't seen before that you can predict. Could predict. An if. I'm hearing the if. Alright. There are ways to do this VLOOKUP with an if, for example. Okay. Let's go to the next one. This table array, you can see it on your screen, but this table array, constant or variable? Absolute or variable? It's a constant, it's an absolute value. Can it change? Can it be anything else? Can I refer to a table array in any other way besides referring to the table array? Okay, so this one is straightforward, can't change. However, the kids forget the absolute cell reference. So tell them automatically to put in the absolute cell reference. Once they do the table array, what's the key that I press on the keyboard for absolute? So let them immediately press F4 for both cells. Okay? Just let that be an automatic thing that they do. Alright, let's look at the column index number. Constant or variable? We know it as a constant. Can it be a variable? Extend your mind. How?
I do it instead of using index and matrix and lazy, but if you put, you can number your row at the top 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the column number adjusts to look up the next row in a large table.
Yeah, which is what we're going to do, similar to what we're going to do now. So she says instead of having a 2, she refers to the top and then refers
So
to
I
the
put
next
a little
one.
row in here so that it can move on if I have to look up in the norms.
So you say this plus, for example, 1. If you want to say that. Another one, let's say the table, the column index number is always, no, I'm not going to say always, but most of the time it's the number what?
2.
2. Alright? Now that 2, can you put something in there that represents a 2, but not a 2? A physical 2. What functions can you put in there that represents a 2?
Count.
Count, sum, rand between, nasty if, len. It's a stupid example, but if the data works, then it works. Alright? What am I trying to show you here? I'm trying to, like I said, extend your brain to realize that some of these things that we learned, the way we learned them, don't have to be constant values. It can be replaced with a function. Alright? For example, this can be replaced with a function. This can be replaced with a function. Okay, this one can't. How about the next one? Okay, before I go on, what is a range? What is a non-range? Because it's true for range, false for no range. Okay, so it's either true there's a range or false there is no range. What is a range? How do you explain it?
Intervals.
Intervals
Between numbers.
between this and this is a range. What if it's not a range? Well, how do you explain if it's not a range? Because these, sorry?
A specific value.
So there is a value for every, can I say, a return value for every lookup value. Okay? So there's an exact match. When you look up this, you get the value that you want to look up. And for this value, there's an exact match in the table array. That means it's not a range. It's false. Okay? If it is a range, then Excel is kind of nice to us. If you put in 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, up to 100, you should turn it around, 100, 90, 80, 70, etc. Then that means that Excel will know the lookup value can be between 90 and 100. So that means it's a range. Alright. That's the range. Next question. Can this be a, can this be replaced by a function? Think and think hard.
I think so. It's gonna be.
Possibly an if, but then remember the return value must be a true or a false. That's not going to happen very likely, but in odd circumstances it might. But can I just say this? This training is not for necessarily the kids, it's for you. But it's also not for the kids that barely can get 30%. Not those ones that put some in front of everything. Please don't show them this, right? Show this to the guy that's sitting on the 78. He's like almost at a distinction, but he misses it because these are the most difficult things that I've extracted from the question papers to explain. Alright? So please tell your kids, if you call those kids together, only call the possible distinction candidates so that they can possibly get an advantage here, because those poor little sum kids are not going to even know what you're talking about. Right. Okay, I want you to open 4 book bespreek. And you know how it works in exams, 4 marks, 4 minutes, ne? Then, for the first one, I'll be nice. I will read the question with you and I will make sure that you open the correct file. But for the other ones, the reading time and the opening time is included in the 4 or whatever minutes. Okay, so you've got 4 book bespreek open. Okay, let's read the activity. If you can't see here, you got it on your presentation. Okay, the clients have to pay an additional compulsory tourism levy. The levy to be paid by clients for a particular hotel or lodge depends on whether it's peak season or off-peak season. Okay, then it gives us column M is 1 for peak season, 2 for off-peak. You see that? You feel the Vlookup here, ne? Is it a Vlookup or an Hlookup? I'll get back to that just now, about horizontal and vertical Okay? Use a Vlookup function. So great, they're telling us what we should do. Use a Vlookup function in cell H6 to display the tourism levy that will be paid by the particular client for that lodge. Okay? When you open the data, you'll see what you're actually supposed to be looking up, not what it says on the question here. Use the hotel lodge data in cell J6, the peak season data in M6, and the data provided in the levy heffing worksheet. Ensure that the function will work correctly if it's copied to the rest of the cells in column H, and you may use the Vlookup function in combination with another function to determine the answer. Are you ready? And I'm giving you 4 minutes. Go. Let's have a look. Firstly, remember to use building blocks. Right? You may use building blocks. Please use building blocks. Okay. Rule number 2. If you do use building blocks, the final answer must be in the cell that requires the answer. 3. Please don't hide the building blocks and put it on AA 277 because we're going to miss it. Okay? 4. If, and I'm sure that happened to you now, it's like you're busy doing a function. Alright, and now it becomes a formula because it's more than one function. Alright, and then you want to press enter, and then Excel does not want you to press enter. Okay, because you are making some kind of mistake somewhere. Now, if you knew you made a mistake, you wouldn't have made that mistake in the first place. In the second place, if you knew where the mistake was, you would have fixed it before you pressed enter. But now you don't know where the mistake is. So tell the kids to do one of three things. Either take the equal sign away, alright, and only leave the function or the formula, or put an inverted comma in the front of the equal sign, I prefer that one, or change the data type of that cell, the format of that cell to text. That means that they will be getting some marks for it. Okay, now give me ideas of how you've done this question. Okay, let's open the data. If we open the data, we'll see that we are supposed to look up, if you look at the levy heffing worksheet, you are supposed to look up the hotel. Do you see that? And not the peak season. Okay, or it feels as if, am I supposed to look up the peak season or am I supposed to look up the hotel? You check the table array. The table array refers to the hotel or the lodge. That means that you have to look up the hotel or the lodge. Alright, number 1. Number 2, which column would be returned would be dependent on the peak season in column M. Okay? Some people use an if, right? Can you feel that it can be an if? If peak season is, or if M whatever is 1, then Vlookup column 2, else Vlookup column 3. Okay? So either way, it's a combination of functions. Alright? Did someone get the answer that quick?
Yes, because I knew the question.
Yeah. Which way did you do it though?
I prefer the if way.
Yeah,
I know the plus one.
Makes
the
more
plus
sense.
way.
Yeah, the if makes more sense. Okay, how many marks would you, let's forget about the difficulty here, because can I say this? We are trying to get marks here. We're trying to obtain marks here. So if your kids don't do it, they'll lose 4 marks straightforward. But if they attempted something based on a simple Vlookup function, then they would have obtained some marks. Let's look. If you looked up J6, you would have gotten 1 mark. Alright? Everybody would have done that because the question says it. Look up J6. Okay? 2. The table array is the table array. You would have had that mark. Straightforward. Okay? If you did a simple Vlookup function, you would have had no other choice but to go and select the table array. 2 marks. Okay? Absolute cell reference is like a given. 3 marks. Okay? So it's only the 4th mark you would have lost if you attempted this question. because it was actually just the fourth mark that was difficult to do. Alright? So, let's see where the M6 plus 1 comes from. If you look at the data, your table array, if it's peak season 1, then it's column what should be looked up?
Column 2.
Column 2. So, whatever is in peak season plus 1. Okay? Yeah, most people wouldn't have had that one. But it's can I say, the easiest option if you think about it. Alright? So, whatever is in M is 1. You would have had to look up column 2, so if you just add 1 to it. If that peak season was 2, you had to look up column 3. So that's the plus 1. Okay? Option 1. Option 2 would be the if. If M6 is 1, look up column 2, else look up column 3. Alright? Longer, but still logical. Alright? Some people did it this way. They did the VLOOKUP and then they put the if at the back, depending on whether it's 1, 2, or 3. Alright? Very few people did this one, although it's the shortest one. But very few people did this one. And actually, that one's the shortest one. Alright.
What is the answer?
The answer is...
I just quickly want to ask something here.
Sure.
If your child uses their noggin, because logic says either, of course if it changes, then it's going to not be incorrect. But if your child looks in and he's like, okay, it's like off peak, okay, I'm going to use column 2, and if it's peak season, I'm going to use column 3.
You would have had 3 marks.
You would have had 3 marks. So you would have got the
Fourth one now.
okay.
Because there's something that says in the Excel, if the data changes, your function must still work.
Okay.
That's based on that. You would have
Okay.
lost the mark. You know what's the answer? You want to know the correct answer. The correct answer is
1530.
one 360. That's the correct answer. Okay. Now, while I have this table array open here, let's talk VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP. I'm going to ask you the same question. We know it's vertical and horizontal, and I had a problem then that I couldn't remember the difference between vertical and horizontal. Someone confused me somewhere in my life. So I just imagined the horizon, that's horizontal, and the other one must be vertical. Okay? Right, now, if we look at vertical lookup, you're saying this is a vertical lookup. Why? Based on the table array. Because how does Excel actually work it out? It checks vertically, so it checks Anna Tree Lodge, Bushfront Lodge, what? It checks it vertically and it returns which value? The value next to. So be careful when you say vertical and horizontal, because what is vertical? Is the original data vertical? Is the table array vertical? Or is the return value vertical? When you say it like that. Alright? So when Excel looks it up, if I could say it like that, it looks it up vertical, but which value gets returned? The value next to it. Alright, let's think HLOOKUP now. What does an HLOOKUP value table array look like? It's got the top value on top, and then it's got the, the return value underneath. Alright, now, how does that work? If it's a horizontal lookup, what does Excel do? It looks up the first column, then the second column, then the third column, then the fourth. So it's looking up horizontally, but it's returning what? The one below it. Do you get the inner working of the lookups function, the two lookup functions? Alright. Now, let's look at the HLOOKUP. For one or other bizarre reason, the kids don't understand the HLOOKUP. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of this vertical horizontal thing. Maybe if you explain that to them, they'll realize that it's actually just exactly the same. Alright, now we did it just now. This lookup value can be a constant or a variable. The table array is the range. Remember to put the absolute cell reference there. Then the row index number can be a constant or a variable. Remember that it's the row index number now. So it's looking up row by row. It's the row's index number, so it's actually returning the second row. It's looking up column by column, but it's returning the row. Okay? Then the range lookup, if it's a range, true. If it's not a range, false. You ready for your next exercise? Okay, I'm going to not give you time to read now because you have to read it in the minutes that's included. 6 minutes, open the file and go. This one was a bit lighter. Okay, were you able to do it in your 6 minutes? Note, and this is an important lesson. Some questions require more time, but some questions require less time. Remember to tell your strong kids this, because we're assuming that the strong kid knows the syntax. So he should be able to do it more or less in the same time that you should. Actually, I should have divided your time by 2 since you are the teacher, but it's okay. We'll give you 6 minutes from now. Next time I'll give you 3 instead of 6. Okay? But the point I'm trying to make is make them aware that if they do questions, some high-level questions require more thinking. Some high-level questions require less thinking. So in this specific case, this is also a higher-level question, but it's, can I say, an easier higher-level question. It's still a level 3. But it's an easier level 3 because of the way it was asked and the data and so on. So you didn't need your 6 minutes. They don't need their 6 minutes. Alright? So that's why we say finish the paper and come back to the questions that you struggle with. Okay, let's have a look. Note, it did not say use an Hlookup function. So the first analysis is go check what the data looks like and then decide it's an Hlookup function. So if we tell you, or if the question tells you that the function to use is Vlookup, for example, you don't get a mark for it. But if the question doesn't tell you, there's a mark allocated for the function. Alright, so let's see. Use a lookup function in cell F3 and the data in the code worksheet to determine what the threat status code for each species is based on the threat status in column G. Display only the abbreviation, for example EN. It must work correctly. Why is that then? It must work correctly when copied down, means put in the absolute cell reference. That's what it means. Okay? You should have gotten this solution. 1 mark for Hlookup, 1 mark for the lookup value, 1 mark for the lookup range, another one for the absolute cell referencing, which is together with that one. The column index number was 2, not the column index, it's the cell, it's the row index number, so it's the column reference. Okay, and then the lookup range false, false, or no false. Can I show you this? Let me show you this. I'm going to put it in now, ne? F3. Right. So we're going to look up. Do you do what I do? And I know why I do it and I can't stop myself from doing it. Do you also stop typing? It's like equal to stop typing. It's like I need to remind myself, insert function, insert function, insert function. Tell your kids that. Insert function. Because especially the guys that come from IT, just go typing, because that's the way it happens. But I'm going to type now because I want to. Right, I'm going to look up this in this sheet, returning absolute cell reference, returning number 2, returning number 2, and enter. And why am I not working here? D, what was it? D6. D? D2. Was it D2? A1 to D2. Yeah, it's D2. Alright, now check. Least threatened, least threatened. Okay? No range. I did put a range. Now when I pull it down, it gives me it works for the first two, né? But it gives me an error for the last one. Okay. 2 ways to fix that. One, insert the false. Okay, sorry, I should have inserted the false there. Insert the false. Right, great. Another way to fix it is to go to your, can I just undo it twice? Go to here and sort it, alright, sort it. I want to sort it from left to right, okay, and I want to sort it from row 1, and then I say okay. I just sorted, né? Now if I throw it down, it works. Alright? So there are 2 ways to solve the problem of the non-applicable. The one way is either you put in the false, because it's no range, or your table must be sorted. Okay? So tell your kids that. I know what you're going to do. They're going to get confused with the sorting thing, so just tell them, put the false please, and that's the end of my discussion. Right.
How am I supposed to know the sorted by rows?
Well, sort is sort.
Because I've never seen it in a textbook or a paper.
Well, I'm not saying no, they shouldn't know it. They should know it, it's sort. The cap says sort. Okay. Another thing that kids do, and I don't know why, they transpose the table and then they use a Vlookup because they feel more comfortable with a Vlookup. We accept it, but it's unnecessary waste of time because the syntax of the HLOOKUP and the syntax of the Vlookup is exactly the same. So they shouldn't want to transpose it. Okay? But some of the kids do, and we catch it in the exams. We mark it correct when we mark